the U.S. government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
It obviously begs the question, why exactly are we borrowing in a currency that we print ourselves? I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, why do we borrow our own currency in the first place?
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, I mean, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do? They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah. So a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money and then it uses that money to
what
yeah,
does the government use money for?
I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, because it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So, I don't think there's anything confusing there.
This is the chair, Jared Bernstein, chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, who directly, personally advises the Biden government on American finances. One of the most complicated and powerful financial systems which has ever existed in human history. And this dumb motherfucker cannot explain in any terms why the government borrows money. Here is why the government borrows money, in case you're curious. Yes, it is true. When we print money, we are devaluing the value of American dollars everywhere. All of our allies, all the governments in the world, actually, besides I think Russia and maybe North Korea. Actually, no, North Korea has lots of dollars. I think Iran does too. I think every country in the entire world except Russia holds U.S. dollars in their bank account. And when we print money, we don't just steal from you. We don't just steal from bank accounts of American businesses and American people, which is what happens when we print money, because the value of the dollar becomes less. We steal from our allies. We have enslaved all of the world under our economic system, including the people who rely on us in foreign countries, and we steal their fucking money because they have to handle U.S. dollars for most things, and they keep a lot of it in store. So the reason why we can print so much money without an immediate collapse of our financial system is that we simply steal continuously, and everyone knows that we steal, and they have no choice but to allow us to steal from them because we are the United States of America. The other question is, why do we pay taxes? If the government already steals from us by printing money, why do we pay taxes? And the reason why is that if you were to actually pay taxes in dollars, it costs money now. If you don't file online and pay digitally, they actually charge you a fee. I'm pretty sure the IRS does for the burden of making them deal with your filthy fucking money, physical dollars. They don't even want to see them. But if we did pay taxes with cash, you know what they would do with that money? Assuming that we had an all-cash system and that digital currency did not exist, what would they do? They would take that money and they would burn it. They would burn your money because that's what taxes is. It is deflation. It is removing money from the system. So we pay taxes so that the money can be burned and then reprinted effectively. Now, we could theoretically just stop paying taxes. We could completely abolish the tax system and just have and print money, and the effect would be the same in terms of the amount of money created, because we would just have to print more of it and it would devalue the dollar faster. But deflating the currency helps avoid superinflation, and as a benefit, when we tax money, we actually take money more from specific people and specific organizations and give it to other people and other organizations. So it is a redistribution of wealth. We don't tax people flat. We tax people based on how much money they have and how much they bribe the government to create tax loopholes for them. So it incentivizes the government to keep taxes going so that we can punish specific groups and specific organizations more than we do other groups and organizations, as opposed to printing money, which would be fair to everybody, basically. So that's why we don't do that. question is, why do we borrow money? We borrow money because we also lend it. And this is kind of, I think, hard for people to understand. The reason why we bankrupt our Medicare system and our Medicare and our Social Security is that we're actually lending that money to ourselves. We take the money out of a trust, out of an established government trust, and then we give it to other branches of the government for them to spend as a loan. So there's actually an extremely complicated roster of debtors paying back loans to other entities in the government. And the logic is that Medicare and Social Security actually makes more money when we do loans this way. That's the actual logic. Why do we take money from Social Security? Because we actually just lend it to ourselves, and then we pay interest on the loans that we gave ourselves, so that Social Security actually makes money in the long run. That's why they do it. So this is, he mentioned MMT, that stands for Modern Monetary Theory. The way I would describe MMT to an average person is that modern monetary theory is kind of like the nuclear bomb. As much as we look back at like Austrian economics and silver and gold and we think, God, I wish money was real again, you can never go back to that, because MMT is extremely good at accelerating growth. The way that we do fractional reserve lending, and we lend money to lend money to lend money to borrow money to lend money, and so on and so forth, and we create these complicated networks of lenders and payees that makes up the economy. It's really, really good at getting shit done, even though it's a fucking nightmare, and it permits a specific cabal of people to control how the world works by controlling the flow of money that Austrian economics does not. So, in the same way that the nuclear bomb basically stopped conventional warfare between major powers, modern monetary theory effectively makes obsolete Austrian economics and more traditional money theories. You can't beat, in the same way that a standing army can't beat a nuclear bomb, Austrian economics cannot beat modern monetary theory. Heads up. Now, with the nuclear bomb, you have machine learning and you have AI, and we're going to have missile defense systems that will stop an intercontinental ballistic missile from traveling with a nuclear payload from California or Hawaii to China eventually. And when AI is integrated into defense systems like that, the nuclear bomb will only be as dangerous as far as you can throw it, and conventional warfare will probably become viable again. And I predict that that's what's going to happen in the next 10 to 20 years, is that there's going to be a conventional war, because it will be impossible to deliver a nuclear warhead to Beijing to stop them from doing something like, say, taking back Taiwan. As far as modern monetary theory, it's collapsing right now in real time. We see it breaking apart. We see people like this, who are supposed to be experts, trying to talk about this monster that they've created, and they don't even understand it. They don't know the basics that a child can learn, through Economics 101 right now. How does money work? I don't fucking know. I just run the Council of Economic Advisors. Why the fuck are you asking me this? What a bullshit question. So it's dying. But what's good, in the same way that machine learning was like this black swan event that makes obsolete all these other things that we've taken for granted for like 80 fucking years, what's going to replace modern monetary theory? Who knows? I'm sure it will be a nightmare. That's my that's my theory. Maybe we'll just get rid of money as a concept, and everything will be we'll just go back to like the feudal system. Everything will be a direct vassalage to the king, and money doesn't exist, and we're just given what the king gives us.